it's Kelsey from Scrapbook.com, and today I'm going to challenge you to make your own flowers. As you can see on my layout over here, I've made 2 giant paper flowers with simple materials and supplies, and you can too. Whether you choose to use a felt backer and hot glue or the awesome new glubers from Cricut, they're so easy to make, they're fun, they're handmade, it's a little bit more personalized than just grabbing something off the shelf, and I think you'll really love the way your layout looks. These are the new Cricut glubers. Glubers are fun adhesive dots, and this is a variety pack, and you get 3 different size dots. You get a 2-inch, a 3-inch, and a 4-inch large glue dot, essentially. And a gluber is very cool. It's double adhesived, so one side is sticky, and that's what you make your flower on, and then when your flower is completed, the opposite side is also sticky, so that you can just adhere it right onto your page, no problem. I love glubers because they just make flowers with any medium so easy. You can use fabric, you can use tissue paper, you can use cardstock, you can use regular pattern paper. These are so great, and they're very, very affordable. You get 12 dots in each pack. So in the tutorial today, I'm going to basically show you how to use your gluber as a base and how to create a handmade flower out of strips of pattern paper. The first step is to just cut your whatever pattern paper you love into 1-inch strips. So I've done that, and I'm gonna take 5 of my strips at the same time, and I actually just want to distress one edge of them. And to do that, I'm going to use my Zutter Distress It All, which is my newest and most favorite tool. Of course, it's pink, but it's also just fast, it's awesome, and the noise doesn't bother me. It may get a little loud for you. I do recommend maybe not doing it if you have a baby sleeping. However, every other time of the day, the motion is so quick, it goes through like butter, and you're done. Saves your time having to hand sand and hand distress everything. So, take your 5 strips together, and I'm gonna run mine through the Distress It All the opposite direction. Normally you would go with the writing on the Zutter, so you read from left to right, you're gonna pull your paper through from left to right, and that'll give you a subtle distressed edge. I want mine to be really chunky and nasty and garbagey and just gross. So I'm gonna push it through the opposite way from left to right. So I'm going to just push my button to get my motor going, and I'm going to hold my paper carefully and guide it through. And see just what a nasty edge that gave me. I love it. And then I'm just gonna pick all the little pieces off, kind of get them a little bit smoother. But now these distressed edges are going to hold my ink better, and they're going to make my flower look more shabby chic. Okay, it does leave a little bit of snow around. I just grab mine, dust it out of the way for the moment, push it aside. Okay. Then, pattern paper is actually really forgiving. You would not believe how easy this stuff is to work with. So what I like to do is take my entire stack and really start to, again, junk it up and make it folded and yucky. So I just take all 5 strips together and I just bend it, give it a really hard time. It's actually really resilient. Okay, and then once I kind of get it the way that I want it that way, then I actually do it individually on an individual level, and I just kind of rough it up a little bit more. You can scrunch this up in a ball. You can just do it strip by strip. You can even tear. You can make small tears down the line, whatever you want to do to make it yucky. And the yuckiest product actually turns out to be the most beautiful. Okay. Then what we do is we take our gluber, and one side of the film will come off much easier than the other. So this is your top film, and this is your working film. This is the surface that you want to work on. And you want to just start with the distressed edge out, and you want to start on the outside of your gluber. So you're just going to, and I'm actually going to rip this little edge off so that I don't have such a stark contrast in edging. I want it to be a little bit more distressed and not so straight and perfect. And then I'm just gonna stick it about halfway on the gluber and halfway off. And then you're just gonna start pleating, which means basically that you're gonna take your finger and you're gonna push the pattern paper back on itself and kind of stick it down to the gluber with your thumb. And you have the freedom to just maneuver it however you want to around the outside of this gluber. And basically just keep on going. And if at any time you feel like you're getting too far onto your gluber and too far off from the edge, just simply push your pattern paper up a little bit and create a pleat that sort of jogs and gives you a little bit more freedom, you know, toward the outside again. Again, it's all correctable. It's all just supposed to be messy, fun, and fabulous. When you get to the end of one of your strips, again, I just tear it off so that my little edge has a little bit of distressed. I pick up a new one. I'll tear this edge off too. Again, not an exact science. I'll figure out where I want to start overlapping it, and I'm just going to continue the pleating process. Okay, when you've met your two layers together around the outside of the gluber, you just need to take your next strip of paper, tear off your edge again, and get down closer to the middle, again, about halfway onto this paper and halfway onto the gluber. And you just want to stick it down so you can catch some of that adhesive and just start pleating your second layer. Okay, so once you get to the center of your gluber and you've run out of adhesive, as you can see, I actually ran out of adhesive on this whole piece, but I still have a teeny little space of gluber there left. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my other awesome pink tool. This is a cordless glue gun from Imaginess. Love this thing. No cord, battery operated, a little light on the front so you can see what you're doing. And it works really, really well and it doesn't get too hot. You can grab this all day long without burning yourself. So then I'm just going to spot a little bit of glue way down in there. It's nice and hot. I'm just gonna move this out of the way. And then I'm going to attach my little leftover piece and just push everything down. And that little spot of glue should hold all of the remaining layers I have right onto that gluber. Just gonna give it a few seconds here. Hot glue hardens pretty fast. Okay. Then what I've done, obviously to hide this ugly part, you wanna do something in the center. You could do a jeweled button, you could do a brad. I chose to actually take part of the same pattern paper line, and this was actually a Coney Island little bottle cap tab, and I am just going to hot glue it right in the center there. I've already put a layer of Tim Holtz rock candy, Distress crackle paint onto the bottle cap, and then I'm just going to hot glue this again with dab. And I'm just gonna place that in the middle, and I want it to have a little bit of dimension, so I'm not gonna slam it down and shove it really hard. I'm just gonna kind of lay it on top of the bead of glue and let it dry there. And that way I've got a nice center, I've got a beautiful layered flower around the outside. And lastly, this is optional, you can distress ink it if you choose. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that just because it helps the layers of your flower kind of pop out and it adds that extra dimension. So while it's still attached to my gluber, I'm gonna just brush my ink onto the edges, and you can do this as much or as little as you want. You can go over it as many times as you want. Just kind of get in there and get a good coat of ink on it. And it'll start to help pick up the detail in your pleats. And I'm just dragging from the center of the flower out to the edge in a downward motion, just dragging my ink pad until I feel like I have the coverage I need. Again, totally optional. You can stop whenever you want. So there, I'm pretty happy with that. And I do like to flip my entire flower over and just make sure that my gluber really adhered to everything by just going in and sort of pushing down on the back of the gluber so that I make sure it's got really good adhesion before I put it on my project. I love the boardwalk line from Graphic 45, so I chose to use it in one of the rare photos of myself in a bathing suit. And I went ahead and cut out with a self-healing mat and a cutting knife one of the vintage elements. I grabbed a couple of the border and tag pieces and adhered those as well. Distressed my edges again and inked them. And as you can see, I've already made one of the gluber flowers, and here is my second one. You can see it's much larger. It's going to sort of fill in the rest of the negative space on my layout. So as simple as this, you're just going to peel it back, and now you have a super sticky surface for your flower, and it's going to go on all by itself. You can overlap however you'd like. If you choose to make two, obviously you can just make one. Again, this is the 4-inch end result. This is the 3-inch end result with your glubers, and they do make a 2-inch as well, which is much smaller and will yield about half the size of this 3-inch flower.